Lakers versus Grizzlies is going to be one of the most interesting matchups that we get in the first round. Here we get a Lakers team that's looking to regain the glory that they once had in 2020, going up against a young Memphis Grizzlies team that's also looking to compete for a championship. The Lakers season was nothing short of a disaster midway through the year, but Rob Pelinka managed to pull a rabbit out of his hat, where he traded Russell Westbrook for a package that included D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. The new additions were great for the Lakers as they closed the year strong, and they managed to do that even with LeBron James missing most of those games due to injury. Now the Lakers are finally healthy at the perfect time. Unfortunately, the Memphis Grizzlies are injured at the worst possible time, losing both Steven Adams and Brandon Clark for the rest of the year. Fortunately, the Grizzlies did manage to get Ja Morant back recently after an 8-game absence, but he really hasn't played to his normal standards since he's returned to the court. But even though Memphis has gone through some turmoil, they're still a very talented team and they're still very capable of winning this series. So in this video, I'm going to briefly break down both teams. I'm going to give the keys to both teams winning, the X factors, and I'll give my ultimate prediction on who I think is going to win this series. First, let's break down the Lake show. Anthony Davis is having his best year since the Lakers won the championship. The dominant version of AD is back. He's nearly impossible to stop when driving to the rim, but he's also able to keep the defense honest with his mid-range jump shot. LeBron James, somehow in his 20th year, is putting up another MVP caliber season, averaging 29 points per game this year. The Lakers' dynamic duo is healthy and playing at the top of their game, but the supporting cast around them is so much better. After the trades, all of the new additions that they've received have all played really well, and Austin Reeves has had a really nice breakout season for them, which is why he earned the starting shooting guard position. Now let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis came into this year looking to build off what was a very impressive season last year, where they managed to win 56 games and get all the way to the second round. And they were off to a hot start, but they suffered some adversity where Ja Morant got himself suspended foolishly by flashing a gun on Instagram Live in a club. Ja Morant is also reportedly dealing with some mental health issues, so some time away from the game was probably a positive. And he has returned, but he hasn't looked like his normal self in his games back on the court, just averaging 20 a game since he's returned, down from the 26 points per game he averaged the rest of the season. But in his absence, other guys stepped up. Jaren Jackson Jr. has become much more of a focal point offensively, and he's looked like a dominant scorer out there. And Desmond Bane has also made a leap, and he's become a true 3-level scorer for the Grizzlies and a playmaker. Memphis really looks tough, but losing their starting center Steven Adams for the rest of the postseason definitely blows.
I think I just figured something out, baby. What? This sucks.
Steven Adams may only average 8 points per game, but the rebounding, defense, screen setting, and toughness that he brings to this Grizzlies team is invaluable. Other guys are definitely going to have to step up to make up for his absence. Now for the keys for success for both teams. The Lakers need to take advantage of the fact that the Grizzlies are going to have Steven Adams. Now, I know that sounds cold-blooded, but ain't no mercy out here. This is the playoffs. The Lakers need to give Anthony Davis the ball and have him feast in the paint against the Grizzlies. Now, the Grizzlies are probably going to adjust by having Jaren Jackson Jr. play the 5, and he can play center, but ideally he's much better off playing next to a defensive-minded big man and being used as a weak side shot blocker. Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5 guarding Anthony Davis is far from ideal, especially when you consider that Jaren Jackson Jr. is still very foul prone and leads the entire NBA in fouls per game. The Lakers need to have Anthony Davis isolate against Jaren Jackson Jr., not only because Jaren Jackson Jr. can't guard AD, but if he ends up in foul trouble trying to guard him, then that's going to be a big problem for Memphis. The Lakers also have to prioritize defending the paint. The Memphis Grizzlies are one of the best teams in the league at scoring in the lane, ranking number 1 in the entire NBA in points in the paint. Fortunately, the Lakers have a great shot blocker in Anthony Davis, and Jared Vanderbilt is very useful as a weak side rim protector, but if I was the Lakers, I would also help off of Dillon Brooks and force him to make an outside shots because he's a horrible 3-point shooter. For the Grizzlies, they're going to need Ja Morant to go nuclear in this series. Now, fortunately, this is a very favorable matchup for Ja Morant. The Lakers are a good defensive team, but they don't really have any elite point of attack defenders. Now, the Lakers once had a great on-ball defender in Alex Caruso, but they chose Talen Horton-Tucker over him for some brain-dead reason.
You're a moron!
Just like I advised Anthony Davis to feast in the paint, Ja Morant also needs to feast in the paint. Since he's returned from suspension, he's been pretty passive, but the Grizzlies are going to need Ja Morant to be very aggressive in this series. He's one of the most explosive point guards in the NBA, and if he's putting constant pressure on the rim and drawing multiple defenders and finding the shooters, then that's going to be trouble for the Lakers. Lastly, Memphis should look to stifle the Lakers' offense by loading up at the paint. Like Memphis, the Lakers have some very good inside scorers, but they also have a lot of guys in their rotation that can be ignored from the outside. Guys like LeBron, Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt, Dennis Schroeder. These aren't guys that are good three-point shooters, so if you're the Grizzlies, you should be looking to put extra defenders in the paint and force the Lakers to either take difficult shots over multiple defenders or kick the ball out to pour outside shooters. Now for X factors. The main X factor for the Grizzlies is Luke Kennard. They acquired Luke Kennard at the trade deadline because they needed some shooting, and he's been an awesome addition for them, averaging 11 points per game on 54% shooting from deep. If he can sustain that hot shooting, then that's going to be huge for them in the playoffs. And for the Lakers, their X factor is Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has had a breakout season for the Lakers, and he's going to be huge for them in this series because he's a legit scorer and playmaker that can relieve pressure from LeBron and Anthony Davis. But now for my prediction. I think this is going to be a competitive series, but I have the Lakers winning this in 6 games. I think this is horrible timing for the Grizzlies. They're dealing with some bad injuries, and the Lakers are healthy at the perfect time. Anthony Davis is at the top of his game, and if you've been watching the NBA for a while now, you know LeBron just goes into Super Saiyan mode come playoff time. I know he's dealing with a bad foot right now, but typically is usually a bad bet to bet against that guy. So I'm going to have the Lakers taking it in 6 games. But now I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think wins this series and in how many games? Tell me in the comments. Guys, I'm going to be covering the playoffs all postseason long, so if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day, guys.